working to improve Iowa's exports to Japan. If you've been looking for a reason to buy an automobile with a Japanese name, a reason in addition to outstanding quality and dependability, come to Suburban Mitsubishi. Smart cars for smart car buyers.
This is CNN.
Now from Washington, the Capitol Gang.
Welcome to Capitol Gang. I'm Pat Buchanan with the regulars, Mark Shields, Robert Novak, and Al Hahn. Our guest is a semi-regular, Republican Senator Trent Lott of Mississippi. Trent, thanks for coming back.
Delighted to be back, Pat.
Is Iona watching right now?
She's watching, so be careful.
Okay.
She's not an irregular.
A week of drama and emotion ended Tuesday with a 52-48 vote to confirm Clarence Thomas for the Supreme Court. Why did more senators believe him than Anita Hill? Democrats blamed an attack campaign, carefully orchestrated, they say, by the president and his aides.
They did negative research on Professor Hill, and then they went out to discredit Professor Hill, providing the Republicans on the committee with specific questions that they would ask, and they set suggestions that became conclusions on the part of the American people. Their only object was to drive Anita Hill's negatives as low as possible.
Republicans angrily denied that they had been stage managed from the White House.
The fact of the matter is, anybody believes that, I know a bridge up in Massachusetts that I'll be happy to sell to them with the help of Senator Kennedy.
Was this just a case of the GOP being better at hardball, Robert Novak?
That is really silly. That is like saying there was TV commercials that enabled George Bush to beat Michael Dukakis. It's the belly aching by the Democrats every time they lose one. A couple of points. Number one was that the enemies of Clarence Thomas scoured the country for all kinds of rumors about cocaine use, wife beating, all slurs, and they finally came up with this poor woman who had some accusations. Secondly, Senator Hatch advised Clarence Thomas not to take any advice from the White House, to play his own game. It was his own battle plan, and don't forget, it was the American people, especially the black American people, who believed him.
Right. Mark? Clarence Thomas certainly turned this around himself. Clearly, as of last Friday afternoon, I think he was down the tubes, wasn't he?
I think he was in big trouble, Pat. I don't think there's any question about it that Clarence Thomas served himself well by setting the terms of the argument, and the Democrats did cave. He said that his personal life would not be entered into it all. The FBI report, in which he said that he had asked her out several times, was dropped and denied, and he moved away from it, and then other Democrats went after him. I have to argue with Bob. I'm reluctant to do it, but the legendary president of the Massachusetts State Senate, Kevin Harrington, once said of liberals are the kind of people who, when you knee them in the groin, say their first reaction is, gee, you have an interesting point there. And that's exactly what the Democrats in the Senate Judiciary Committee did. I mean, they were a replay. Anybody who missed the 1988 presidential campaign, you've got a sequel of it on those Democrats. They didn't go after it. The reality is that Anita Hill, who did come forward, and I don't think she was a poor little lady, I think she's a very able person, which she did come through, she found herself unilaterally disarmed, while Orrin Hatch and Arlen Specter and Alan Simpson were very forceful, very emphatic, and very persuasive in behalf of their
the charge of high-tech lynching of an uppity black who thinks for himself froze those Democrats, did it not?
Well, it did, and it didn't have to, because Mark's right. They really did their imitation of Michael Dukakis. They were punching bags. They did a terrible job. I think that the charge that the White House orchestrated this is unfair. I think it was done up there, and it was done masterfully. By the way, Orrin Hatch apologized later for that slur on Ted Kennedy on the Senate floor. Of course he did. But just look at some of the particulars, and I grant you they were very effective. Arlen Specter accused her of perjury. If you read the record, Arlen Specter was the one who distorted what she said. Orrin Hatch even suggested that she got one of her charges by reading The Exorcist. I mean, that she was besieged by demons. Orrin really should stick to talking dirty. He does that better. And Alan Simpson, for those of us who forgot, who were too young to know what Joe McCarthy was really like, Alan Simpson showed us. I have in my pocket 24 card-carrying smears against this awful woman. And then he produced those smears, those bombshells, and they were duds.
Al, we got a guy here who's laughing like they just the cat that swallowed the canary. They want it all.
Absolutely.
What did you think of the whole thing, though?
Well, I thought Orrin Hatch and Arlen Specter did a good job. I think part of the problem with the Democrats, not so much what they did or how they did it, but who was doing it. And I think clearly the big losers here were the Democrats in the Senate. The White House did not orchestrate this. I believe they did. I would feel better about a White House that is actively, directly involved, but that was not.
Well, we're going to get into winners and losers. Okay. Bob, talk to this meeting. Orrin Hatch, it seemed to me, and Specter, went after this woman, hammer and tong, as they should have. You had a guy's name, his reputation, his career, everything sitting on the line on her credibility, which was suspect. Excuse me.
They didn't even really scratch the surface with her. And in 3 days, you couldn't do it. There was a lot more to it. I didn't think they were all that effective. You see, the thing is, Mark, wait a minute. Let me say what I was going to say. What you don't really understand was it wasn't any kind of smear on her. It was the credibility of this man. And you have just sat here and smeared Clarence Thomas again. You have said he asked her out for a date. You don't have any evidence.
FBI report, when asked about the FBI report.
He denied it. He denied it. He denied he's ever said it. And that is, I think you should apologize to him right now for doing it.
I am not apologizing to anybody that was in there, Bob. He was asked about it, and he backed off. Now, let's get this straight, Pat. Let's get this straight. If you have other stuff about Anita Hill, Bob, why don't you get it out? I mean, you just want to kind of keep these things floating around, Bob, like some big ugly cloud. Is that what you want to do?
We'll talk about that.
Do you want to be the merchant? Do you want to be the merchant?
You know what really happened? Judge Thomas was the winner. He was the guy that did the job. People watched him. I watched it. I was not on the committee, so I sat there like all the rest of Americans, glued to the television, watching for reactions, their facial muscles, their eyes, the works. When he came in there and emphatically denied it, that was it.
And that's what kills the liberals. Let me just take 5 seconds. I mean, these big, tough guys, let's not forget, for 7 hours, she was there, and they didn't lay a glove on her. They did. And then when she left, behind her back, these big, tough bullies savaged her. They did it very effectively.
By the way she was treated from the very beginning, not by Orrin Hatch or Arlen Specter, but by the Democrats on the committee and not doing the job thoroughly.
Clarence Thomas said in his opening statement, which Trent obviously loved, he said that he had lain awake trying to figure out. He hadn't been able to figure out. He was just curious what he possibly could have done or said. And he was so bothered by all of this that he didn't even care enough to watch her testimony.
Oh,
he kept them up
for 2 weeks. What
do you mean? What do you mean, Bob?
Let me answer you. Yeah. Because you were here last week and you put about that garbage about he didn't dare to answer. I'll tell you something. If somebody was, listen to her. If somebody was telling lies about you and saying things that never happened, and you knew how filthy it was, I don't think you'd listen.
I listen to you every week.
We're going to go to winners and losers. I think the big winner out of this is George Bush. His adversaries are divided and I think scattered. Mark, who's the big winner?
I think the big winner out of it, quite frankly, is Orrin Hatch, who I think emerges as the conservative leader of the Republican movement.
No doubt. Trent?
I thought it was articulate minorities that handled themselves quite well. Not only Judge Thomas, but the panel members. Just the Americans saw educated, articulate minorities that they don't often get to see.
I think the big winner, you guys will be pleased with, is conservatives, because I think that Judge Thomas would have been an unpredictable judge up until 2 weeks ago. Now he's an embittered man. He's going to be prone to lash out against those people who attacked him or be a Scalia
Orrin Hatch and the conservatives' big winner. What do you think, Bob?
The biggest winner are the American black people, because they have been shown they can get off the liberal plantation, boss.
Okay, I got to agree. The Democratic liberals are the big losers. Mark?
I think the Democratic Congress is the big loser because it's the only public institution which the Democrats control. It is the public image of the party, and I think it took it on the chin.
Trent, who's
Democratic-controlled Senate specifically. The process, the confirmations process, the hearings, they're all bad, and the Senate looks bad.
I think the many women who are sexually harassed, I fear, may be the big losers, because the way Anita Hill was dragged through the mud hardly creates an incentive for people to come forward.
Robert?
The biggest individual loser was Senator Ted Kennedy. This is the bottom of his career. He's being attacked by the women because he sat there dumb, and he was made a subject of derision for the first time in his career by the American people.
Will George Bush exploit the great Thomas victory? Next on Capitol Gang.
The Capital Gang is brought to you by Lexus Luxury Automobiles, the result of a relentless pursuit of perfection.
It's not Waterford Crystal or a Hasselblad lens. It's a headlamp. And if you think that's impressive, wait till you see what's attached. Introducing the new Lexus ES 300 Sports Sedan.
Introducing the most advanced Tegrin ever. Advanced Formula Tegrin Dandruff Shampoo. Now with 40% more itch-fighting, flake-fighting medication than ever before. Try the most advanced Tegrin ever.
Aren't you just itching to try it?
At night, I soak my dentures. In the morning, I use toothpaste. At night, I soak.
Wake up. All you need is denture cream. In just 90 seconds, denture cream gets dentures nearly twice as clean. So why pay for two products? All you need is denture cream.
Sarah, keep an eye on your brother.
No matter what size your business, no matter what size the job, Konica copiers are ready. Konica, capturing the imagination.
You can save a lot with a discount broker. Say you trade 300 shares at 30. With the average full-rate broker, you pay $197 in commission. With Quick and Riley, you pay only $81. You save $116. Come to us for huge savings and one-on-one personal service. 500,000 investors do.
Call 800-873-4304 for this guide. Call now, get this dividend study, too. 800-873-4304. No salesperson will phone.
Welcome back. Will George Bush capitalize on his Thomas victory and take the offensive against Congress? Or will he take the kinder, gentler path to political conciliation? Senator John Danforth, invaluable in the confirmation fight, wants Mr. Bush to soften his stand against quotas and buy into a compromise on the Civil Rights Bill. But the Senate GOP leader is having none of that.
I think Senator Danforth better take a look at who was trying to tube the nomination of Clarence Thomas before he makes too many deals with him on civil rights.
One cabinet member sees last week's rout of the Senate liberals as an opening to ram Mr. Bush's initiatives right up Capitol Hill.
I have thought of it principally as an embarrassment for the institution of the Senate, and I would hope that maybe in their interest in restoring their own good names, they might act responsibly in some other areas.
Isn't now the time for George Bush to exploit this great victory, Al Hunt?
Well, it's nice to see the kinder and gentler majority leader back in operation, Pat.
Minority leader.
Minority leader, I'm sorry. Don't tell him I said that, please. I like it. You know, Dick Darman is saying basically, you know, let's go and pass a program. Now, there's only one problem with that, Pat. There is no program. This is a president that when it comes to domestic matters doesn't believe in anything. I think he'll probably hunker down the Civil Rights Bill, but that's not a program. Some people will urge him to embrace term limits. He may do that, but he doesn't believe it. We all know that. And the big issue will probably be the economic issue, and now they're going to resurrect the Trojan horse. Remember, David Stockman referred to the Trojan horse tax bill of 1981. This is one where you're going to give breadcrumbs for middle-class taxpayers so you can give a veritable feast of a capital gains tax cut for the wealthy. I think the Democrats, frankly, are eager to join him on that issue.
Bob, Pat, whether President Bush realizes it or not, there are a lot of people at the White House who know that this is a golden opportunity. The Senate, the Democratic Party are lying prostrate. They are absolutely in terrible situation. And there is a program, Al. There's a program, whether he believes it or not is important. If he pushes it, that's what's important. Term limitations. That's Congress bashing. Tort reform, that's lawyer bashing. Educational reform, that's school teacher bashing. And most of all, the need for a growth incentive program. People want a capital gains cut. That's a tremendous program. He has an opportunity to really stop being gentler and kinder.
Trent, is he going to do it? Which of these two gentlemen is right? Does he have? He doesn't have the big program, does he?
Well, first, I think the president is finally going to be morally outraged. I think he has watched the Congress, both the House and the Senate, the antics that have been going on, and I think he may actually go after the Congress the way he should, but I wasn't convinced he would up until this point. As far as his program, absolutely he has a program. He had an energy proposal. It's being held up by George Mitchell because of the miles per gallon for automobiles. He has a transportation program. It's being held up in the House because they've got billions of dollars of line item projects in there. He has an education program, which the Senate will not act on. He now is realizing we've got to do something to move the economy now, right. whether it's a package you would like, or we need something because the economy is not healthy. If the president will seize that, push it, boy, that's a magnificent
And the only thing
program.
he can go is capital gains. That's the only
that's the main part.
Pat, this is a guy a week ago vetoed the unemployment bill, the president, by telling us the recession was mostly over. This week convened a meeting of the Republican leadership at the White House to come up with a tax cut package because the recession wasn't mostly over. I mean, this is as Disraeli once said about a character, he had but one idea and it was the wrong one. George Bush has had one economic idea in his entire public career that has excited him. Sadly, it's the same one that excites Novak. George Bush is not going to be the beneficiary to the extent Novak is of a cut in the capital gains tax. Right. But that's it. That's it, Pat. I mean, that is the entire program.
Compensation. The president has said repeatedly, I want one, I'll sign one. The Democrats said, you'll sign this, take it or leave it.
Let me say one other thing. I think you have to get to the bottom of this Anita Hill, Clarence Thomas business. I don't think you should let that lie. No, I think it is necessary to find out not only who leaked the material to the media, but also once you get into that, you find out whether there was a conspiracy to get Clarence Thomas that uses her as a foil.
Can I tell you something? The idea of politicians investigating who leaked with Bob Novak cheering on as the greatest hoax since the Hitler diaries. Bob, you have prospered through politically inspired leaks, a few of which have been true. And Trent, let's have a policy. Let's have every senator who can take a lie detector test if they never leak conduct that inquiry.
Look, Charlie Colson leaked an FBI report and went to jail for 7 months for it. They ought to have a special prosecutor for this one.
We'll send Novak to the slammer if you do that, Pat.
Republican staff member leaked this? Because if you think about it, it put the Republicans on the offensive and the Democrats on the defensive.
Next on Capitol Gang, a massacre in Texas, but no gun control from the Hill.
Sunday, the Thomas hearings brought it to national attention. But what is sexual harassment? And how are companies handling it when it happens on the job? On CNN's Inside Business, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, Sunday.
We had big plans for our Florida vacation, but I needed a rental car that wouldn't cramp our style. Suddenly, everything fell into place.
Dollar Rent-A-Car is right on the airport, right on the money. Look for these special low rates in Florida. Great selection, unlimited mileage.
Come here often?
Call Dollar at 1-800-800-4000.
If you don't get to sleep, I won't get to sleep.
Nitol safely helps you fall asleep fast so you can get your Z's. Nitol or maximum strength Nitol.
Nitol will help you get your Z's.
Introducing the most advanced Tegrin ever. Advanced formula Tegrin dandruff shampoo. Now with 40% more itch-fighting, flake-fighting medication than ever before. Try the most advanced Tegrin ever.
Aren't you just itching to try it?
At America's finest hotels, you get such exceptional service, you hardly have to lift a finger. So it's no surprise that so many fine hotels choose AT&T. They know you depend on the quality and services of AT&T to perform at your best. Though admittedly, to appreciate our service, you do have to lift a finger. How can we help you?
It took 70 years to build an empire and just 3 days to bring it down. Hear incredible stories of change in the new USSR on a CNN Sunday night special this Sunday, 9 Eastern.
Welcome back. One day before the House was to consider gun control, George Joe Hennard smashed his pickup truck through the plate glass window of a crowded cafeteria in Killeen, Texas, stepped out, and opened up with 2 semi-automatic pistols. 22 people died before Hennard turned the gun on himself. That was enough for the man who represents Killeen in Congress to change his vote on a ban on semi-automatic assault weapons.
For me, suddenly the old arguments ring hollow. We hear guns don't kill, people do. Tell that to the victims of those 22 citizens that are dead today.
Ignoring Edwards' plea, the House rejected a ban by 60 votes, listening instead to another Texas congressman.
Did you hear about the murder in New Jersey where a woman stabbed a baby 175 times with a pair of scissors? Why don't we outlaw scissors?
Isn't the House recognizing reality, Mark, that no congressional law could have prevented what happened down in Killeen?
Absolutely not, Pat. We have limits in this country, obviously, on bazookas. We have limits on fire, all sorts of fire-throwing equipment. I mean, the reality is we have limits. The question is where we're going to draw them. I commend Chet Edwards for standing up. I refuse to believe that the people of the United States are less civilized, less humane, and less caring about human life than are the people of Japan and Great Britain. The difference is when an American loses his head, and as this guy did, there's a gun there available for him at the corner.
And we're going to have a true squad for Shields because there is no connection between the weapons that this crazy man used down in Texas and the assault rifles. In fact, he bought that gun in Nevada and had a license. It was a registered gun, and he got a background check. Let me tell you something, Mark. They found in his pocket a ticket to The Fisher King. That's a movie. And in the movie, a guy goes nuts, spraying gun and having a mass killing. Do you want to ban R-rated movies that have violence in them so we don't have them?
Ideas don't kill.
Lott.
I think that, once again, the liberals in Congress are trying to divert attention from the important thing here, and that is a crime bill, one that deals with criminals, things like habeas corpus and death penalties for people that do use guns in the commission of crimes.
As a matter of fact, that bill would have outlawed those 17-round magazine clips.
Oh, he reloaded.
Please finish it. That man finished. He kept shoving in, and it probably would have meant 12, 15 people wouldn't have been killed, Pat. That is a matter of
Lott. Thanks for being with us. The Gang of Four will be back with the outrages of the week, and I'll get this all under control.
Just how realistic is the audio system in the Lexus LS 400?
Cutting down trees is an emotional issue. But the need for wood isn't going to disappear. And neither is the need for wilderness. The challenge is to find the right balance. That's why our leading forest products companies have set aside more than 1 million acres of protected land for all those who need the wilderness. The American Forest Council, helping to protect the future of America's forests.
You can count on me. You know that, don't you?
I was figuring I could.
Well, you cleaned this town up. You made it fit for women and kids to live in. Millen and nobody else will ever drag it down again.
I was hoping people would feel that way.
What other way is there? How many men you got lined up?
None yet.
Well, you better get going, man.
Just a reminder, when you think duplication, think meter copiers. Call 1-800-ABC-METER.
Planning. Where'd I get the capital to start this business with my daughter? By investing for the long haul. And forget full commission brokers. I called Charles Schwab. Munis, mutual funds, blue chips, and I save plenty with Schwab's low commissions. Every day I tell my daughter, think long term. Make your own decisions. Be your own man.
For a free Schwab Fact Kit, call 800-257-1257.
Outrage of the week, all during the Atlanta Braves series with the Pittsburgh Pirates for the National League pennant. Atlanta fans did the tomahawk chop. Well, various pests from the American Indian movement call this, quote, derogatory, dehumanizing, and portraying Native Americans as warlike, aggressive, and having a savage approach. Oh, shut up and let's play ball. Robert?
It's a bad night for the Indians, Pat. American Indian activists used Columbus Day to bash Columbus. Parades were blocked, red paint poured on Columbus statues, and old Chris was called worse than Hitler. This nonsense reflects something serious. The multicultural nuts who bemoan the fact that Europeans brought civilization to North America. I say, happy 500th anniversary to the great explorer.
Geez, you covered him, didn't you, Bob? 2 years ago, the Navy charged that Clayton Hartwig, a gunner's second mate who died in an explosion in the battleship Iowa, deliberately caused that tragedy. This week, the Navy had to admit that accusation couldn't be supported and apologized to the Hartwig family, which has a $40 million suit against the Navy. Now, that would amount to less than 5% of the cost of one of the unnecessary B-2 bombers. I think that's the least Defense Secretary Dick Cheney can offer for the outrageous behavior of his department.
I'm with you, and Bob Novak is the Sons of Italy Man of the Year. Last year, the Oklahoma State Legislature passed a sweeping 5-year education reform plan. Tougher teacher standards, longer school year, higher teacher salaries. To pay for it, sales, corporate, and personal income taxes were raised. This past week, the voters of Oklahoma defeated a referendum endorsed by Novak to repeal the taxes, to kill the school plan, and to send the state backwards. Hats off to those progressive Sooners for standing up for their school kids.
I'm for the necessary B-2 bombers, not the unnecessary ones.
Pat Buchanan.
You're for about 5 or 6 then, Bob. We can get rid of the other 65.
A lot more than that.
Pat Buchanan saying good night for the Capitol Gang.
Thanks for having us here tonight.
Argument and analysis on the Capitol Gang for this week. Hot dogs are the latest thing to hit the Argentine underworld. Not the food, though, the pet. Police in Argentina say thieves are stealing dogs, then demanding ransoms from the animals' rich owners. Some thieves reportedly steal the dogs, wait for a reward to be offered, and then bring back the pooch and pocket the money. Officials say nearly 1,000 cases of dog napping have been reported recently. Coming up, as CNN Weekend continues with Newsnight. In his new book, Oliver North says he thinks former President Reagan knew all about the Iran-Contra affair. And an investigative reporter comes out with a book of his own that alleges the Israelis have a large and very dangerous nuclear arsenal. The ballots have been cast in Louisiana's governor's race. Experts say it's close. The first funerals are held in Texas Saturday for the victims of the Killeen Cafeteria Massacre. Protesters rally across the U.S. Saturday. They're fed up over taxes. And who killed former Louisiana Senator Huey Long? After more than half a century, experts will exhume the body, examine it, of the man who's been blamed. All that and more just ahead on Newsnight.
My car broke down and no one would stop to help. Worse, I was out of state and the repair place insisted on cash. Oh, for a friendly face. Thank goodness I bank at First Interstate. And thank goodness for Anna Moreno. Without a hitch, she cashed my personal First Interstate check and helped me find a nearby mechanic to fix my car. Now that's extra mile service.
If you want extra mile service, come to First Interstate Bank. We go the extra mile for you, guaranteed.
Know why Mercy West Health Center is different? It's not just doctor's offices or radiology or laboratory services or a walk-in clinic. Mercy West Health Center offers integrated care.
I'd like to call in a specialist.
When can we do that?
Chances are right away. His office is right upstairs.
Family practice physicians and specialists are under one roof where they can get together and work together to care for you. Mercy West Health Center, one stop for all your medical care.
What apartment complex offers convenient access to I-35 and 80, just minutes from downtown Des Moines, shopping within walking distance, plus the affordable luxury of Green Meadows planned community? Wynwood, of course. What apartment complex offers studio, 1 and 2 bedrooms, complete with microwave oven, individual washer and dryer, 24-hour on-site management, plus access to a total fitness club? Wynwood, of course. Wynwood. Townhouse living at apartment prices.
The new 1992 Toyotas are here. This is your special invitation to the premiere showing of the 92s at Friedman Motor Cars. Come and take a look at the exciting new Camry. We just couldn't leave well enough alone. The sporty Paseo, the all-purpose Previa, the sturdiness of the 4x4s. They're here, they're new and spectacular, only at Friedman Motor Cars, where...